There's a saying that I love. If the only tool that you have is a hammer, every problem needs to be a nail. And it's really, really lovely saying. And PowerShell is a really, really big hammer. But it is not the only tool that you're going to need in order to do your job, whether you're a systems admin, desktop engineer, help desk specialist. Um, you may be working with machines that may not have PowerShell enabled, or they don't have PowerShell at all. And so you're still going to have to rely on other scripting languages or other tools to get those jobs done. And so in PowerShell, if you want to see all the commandlets that you have access to in PowerShell, you can use get command, and it'll spit out all the different commandlets that you have installed. But you can also do something else. You can use get command. You can um, get command type and put application in there. And what will that do? That's going to spit out all the Windows-based tools and even tools that you've might have thrown into the systems directory that you have access to that you can use. And a lot of these tools are things that you've probably seen in the past and used in the past. If you've worked with Windows, you have stuff like robocopy in here, trace routes in here, xcopy, lots of stuff that you're familiar with. But there's also probably tons of stuff that you've never even thought of. And so it's really good to go on your system and see what you have access to and find out what things can do, because you may not always have PowerShell to be there to save you. So let's just look at this list. I mean, it's huge. It's even bigger than the command list, and a lot of this stuff is useless. But some of this stuff is really, really good, and I even found some new stuff today that I wasn't familiar with. And some things that you see on here might not be on your system. So if you just run that commandlet, you can see what you have access to. So let's just look at some of the interesting things that I found while I was working in this directory today. Now, these are command line tools, so we have to use these PowerShell based means of calling them, and one of them is to use the and symbol. And if we run this tzutil.exe, this is just a tool that lets you change the time zone settings on your machine. So here's the usage. We have parameters. We can display the current time zone. So if I put /G, okay, I'm in Eastern Standard Time. I can list all the different types of time zones, and I can even change it. So if I want to do that from the exe, I can do it. I don't know if you can do it in PowerShell itself. You might have to change some registry items, but that's a really simple way to change the time zone settings on your machine. Let's look at another one. This is a older executable. I'm sure you guys have played with this before. Message.exe. You can send a message to a user on your network, and so in this case I'm using message.exe. Sending it to my username that's I'm logged into. I'm giving it the server, which is my local machine, and then I'm just sending a message called testing. So let's see what happens when I run that. And a message pops up. It says testing. There's other things that you can do with it. Message.exe. So you can look through it and find out what is in there. Let's look at something else. Wait for. This is an interesting one. I never knew about this, but wait for is it's a little executable that can either send out a signal or wait to receive a signal. Now, why would you find this useful? If you want to have some sort of flow control in your scripts that's dependent on something that's happening on the other side of the network, you can include this in your code to essentially, in one end, you can have it waiting for a response. Say on your local machine, you have this batch script or PowerShell script, and it's waiting for a response from something on another machine. And then in your batch script, PowerShell script that you send out to another machine, you can wait for it to get to a certain point, execute this wait for, and use the send signal rather than wait signal option, and you can have it send the signal back to your local batch file, and then your batch file will know that it has reached a certain point on the other machine with the other batch of PowerShell file. So that's an interesting little piece of code that you can include. What else do we have here? SC. This allows you to send service queries, find out more information about services, start and stop services, continue services. You have all kinds of ways to control services on your local or remote machine. Obviously, you can do a lot of that stuff with PowerShell, but like I said, you may not always have PowerShell. PowerShell may not always be on the systems that you're trying to work with. So if you want to have some sort of backup in your scripts, some sort of failover, you can use these command line tools to help facilitate that. So sc.exe, that was another one that I saw in that list. Here's timeout.exe. This is similar to start sleep in PowerShell, where you can set a number of seconds for this executable to wait before it will continue forth. But what you can also do is use this /t -1, because it also waits for a key press. So if somebody presses a key before the timeout, then you will proceed forward in the script. If you put the -1 in there, then it will stay timed out indefinitely, and you can have a person, you can send a message that says press a key or something. So that was another interesting one that I found in there. So this is one that I never even knew about. UAC is going to pop up here, so hold on one second. Okay, so these are all the things that you can do with this. You can see there's a lot of information here, but this lets you mess around with your printers on your machine. And you can install printers using a file. You can back up printer settings and then restore them later. So this is a command line means of interacting with the printers on a system. So that's also good to know. You may want to have your printers worked with programmatically and you don't have any other means to do it. This is a tool that's on the machine that may be able to help you reach a solution in a problem that you have. And if you didn't know about this stuff, then you would just be banging your head against the monitor like, oh no, I have this problem and I don't have the tool to do it. So that's why it's important to get familiar with all the different tools that you can, put them in your tool belt, and when you have a problem, you can reach a solution with it. So that's really all I wanted to show, was that there is a lot more on your system that can help you solve problems and create solutions, and you can include these in your PowerShell scripts as primary means of reaching a solution, or just something to fall back on when you don't have access to PowerShell. So my machine has tons of stuff. You can explore it on your machine by using get command and supplying the command type application, and it'll spit out all kinds of stuff on your machine. I like to just go through, find stuff that looks interesting. RAS phone, RAS server, I don't even know what that stuff is. It could be useful, so I pop it into Google and just explore, you know, what's on the system, what can you do, how can I solve problems. PowerShell may not always be able to be the right solution, so it's good to know what you have, and that's all I wanted to show right now. Thanks for watching.